Welcome everybody to the week 2 live session for TEM. I am once again Chris Newton. I am going to be the instructor for this wonderful live session. And happy Halloween everybody. For those of you who are sneaking candy and all that good stuff, more power to you. I got myself a small little bag sitting over on the side here, and I'm enjoying myself as we take this live session to its conclusion. So, how did everybody do in week 1? Were you guys feeling confident about everything? Computer issues, ick. Yeah, last week I ended up having to take my dog into the vets. He had bladder stones, so yeah, last week was kind of weird for me as well. But now he has the cone of shame on and everything, so he runs into everything, so it's pretty interesting. You barely understood the instructions that were given. Did you by chance get to listen to the week 1 archive? Yes, I always give out the, I record all of the live sessions here, so, and then once I am done, I give them out to all the other instructors, so they should be able to give them to all of you who were not able to come to the live session. Cortland, if you weren't able to find it, usually it's in the announcement section on FSO or in with the actual go-to training live session. So if you don't see those in those areas, I would definitely contact your instructor and say, hey, where's the archive? Because I do give it out to all the instructors for TEM. So they should be putting it into either an announcement or stuff like that. Yeah, some instructors will also email it and stuff like that, which is cool. For me, I tend to put it in the announcement and make a little message out to everybody as well. So it definitely helps. And with these live sessions, I tend to walk through all the assignments themselves, so everything is a-okay, and hopefully everybody is on the same page by the time everything is done here. So now that week 1 is done, we are now rolling into week 2, where you have 2 assignments, which is called the industry growth and the industry terms assignments. This is the one where you are primarily going to be focusing on research and context, where the industry growth is you're primarily going to be going out and searching for information about your industry itself and where you see your industry today, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and 25 years from now, and pretty much where you want to go from into that industry itself. So you're going to be getting in there. And then the industry terms is we give you a huge list of different terms, and you choose 7 from your degree program and then 7 from another degree program or other degree programs themselves, and then define those terms. No, Cecil, we're not at the end. We're just beginning, in fact. So you came in just in time. So ultimately, in this scenario, Brittany, what do you mean by define those terms? In other words, you're going to go out, look for the definition for those terms, and then you're going to interpret those definitions in your own words. So you're going to go out, take a look, and see what the overall definition, and we'll get to those terms very quickly, Brittany. I'll be showing you where those are. All right, but ultimately you're going to do these terms, define them in your own words, and then you're going to do a quote as to how that term is being used in the industry. Okay, so again, we'll be getting to all of that stuff. Oh, don't worry about it, Dylan. We will have the archives, so you will be able to come in and watch all the cool fun that we have here. So, well, no, Gus. You look them up. You look up the definition first, and then define it in your own words based off of the research that you did in looking that up. So, ultimately, this one, the industry growth itself. This discussion is primarily designed for you to critically think about how you specifically will fit into the future in your actual industry. So you're going to be researching and citing information to pretty much back up the thoughts in answering questions here. How many of you have actually seen the Minority Report movie with Tom Cruise? Yeah, you saw how they were actually using that cool technology at the beginning where you would see him have those gloves on and then sliding things around. Well, we're actually getting that technology now to where we're able to do that type of stuff. And especially with self-driving cars that is coming out very, very soon for the public, we're going to pretty much be living in the Minority Report movie. So it's really, really interesting to see. So ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to be answering a group of questions. Like a gravity gun from Half-Life. Oh man, if we ended up ever having those things, I would have so much fun. So for this industry growth assignment, we do have a discussion board for this set up. So all you need to do is make your initial post inside the discussion board. Okay? But as you see here, we do have 5 different things that need to be focused on. And then for the first paragraph, you're going to need to look at your entire industry and write a paragraph describing how you currently see your industry. Okay? And then you have to cite at least one source based on this. All right? Once you do that, and it's kind of saying, hey, I see how my industry is going right now, where, you know, if you're in like mobile dev, they're trying to create some really simplistic apps that have a good user experience and a good user interface. Yes, Savannah, the references go at the bottom of the actual post. Nathalie, your industry itself. What industry are you going into? Are you doing game art, computer animation? So that's the industry that you're going to be focusing on. How do you currently see the computer animation industry? Where do you think it is heading currently right now? What do you see new that is being coming out and stuff like that? So ultimately, that first paragraph should be talking all about how you currently see your specific industry. And then you just have to find a source to blow that out. No, Tyler, not a full-blown cited page, but it does have to be in APA format. As you see right here, we want you to definitely have it in APA format. All right? Then, from there, you're going to write another paragraph forecasting how you see your industry growing in the next 5 to 10 years. So this is where you're going to dig a little bit more into your using Google and everything and seeing and finding articles and stuff as to a prediction as to where your industry is going to go and how it's going to grow within the next 5 to 10 years. Andrew, if you've put it in a PDF and just posted it up in the discussion board, that's perfectly fine. ultimately as long as you have the initial post done by Friday. All right. Yes, Cody. Other than Wikipedia, you can use any other source. Okay. So after you get that second paragraph forecasting how you see the industry growing in the next 5 to 10 years, then you do a third paragraph, that pretty much gives a little speculation as to where your industry is going to go in the next 25 years. So you're going to just describe how users will consume your media in the next 25 years. Like for like game art, it may end up being virtual reality, or we're actually wet wired where we're plugged in and jacked in, kind of like the Matrix and stuff like that. But we want you to kind of speculate how everything is going. Sword Art Online. Maybe. Gus, isn't the industry gaming in our program the specialty? Yes. If you're in like game art or game design, that's your specific degree and your industry. So you would go out and take a look at any relevant information that is dealing with your specific industry itself. No worries, Cortland. Yeah, so after that, you end up just making the third paragraph that kind of speculates where the industry is going to go and how the users will consume the media within the next 25 years. Andrew, we will get to the terms very shortly. I just want to make sure I cover through all of this first. Can everybody still hear me? I just want to make sure. For Gus, for your... The heck? Hold on, it looks like I have a little... Something happened here. There we go. All right. Yeah, my window dropped away. Gus, can you hear me? I just want to make sure. All right. So the answer to your question is depending on what your degree program is. So you are going to look at your industry itself. So the industry that you want to go into. So if you're in game design program, you're looking at the game design industry. If you're in the game art program, you're looking at the game art industry, which would pretty much be like anything specifically gaming itself. Where's the games going and everything like that. And it's the same thing, Jackson. You're going and talking about your actual industry that you're going into. Where do you foresee that? Same thing with you, Cecil. If you're in graphics art, that's usually like logo design and stuff like that. So you'll go out and start looking and speculating where do you think in the next 25 years your industry is going to be and how your users will actually consume the media in that time. Okay? Then from there you do a fourth paragraph where you're explaining where you want your actual career to be in the next 5, 10, and 15 years. And pretty much what kind of steps you would take to get to your 15-year goal. Okay? And pretty much like what rewards would you want to have achieved? Where would you want to live? What would your life look like on that stuff? So again, this is us picking your brain to give you an idea of thinking ahead. This whole assignment is getting you to think ahead. At least one goal per, 5, 10, 15 years and stuff like that. I feel like in 25 years, people are going to be in love with Space Age logos again. Actually, Christian, I think they're probably going to be in love with Comic Sans again. because we all know we all completely rag on that one. So, so Savannah, yes, that would actually be a good goal for you to step in, saying, "Hey, I want to, I want to definitely be in Japan and stuff like this." Well, Drew, if you want to explain how you want to be able to live off your income comfortably, it's just making sure that you say, hey, I want to make sure that I have a job where it is stable enough to where I can actually live off of my income. Or, if you're like a YouTuber and stuff, making sure that you develop your client, your consumer base up a lot, so they actually, make sure that they give you money and stuff like that, so you can get that far. I know you can't predict that far too much, but ultimately this fourth paragraph is like a speculation. It's kind of a what if scenario. Where would you want to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years, and just kind of push that out there. All right. And then there's a fifth paragraph that is needing to be done on this as well, where it's just summarizing the overall plan that you would want to have in place. This one doesn't have to be concrete. It can just be, again, more speculation, where it's like, hey, this is my plan on how I would actually get to these specific goals. So in all, you're going to be doing 5 decent sized paragraphs on this. All right. Then from there, once you have your actual initial post done and turned in, then you're going to reply to 4 classmates' posts. All right. You're going to read their information and then kind of give, saying, hey, I really liked how this happened, blah, blah, blah. But give us some decent size response posts on this. So, and if you remember in creative presentation where they wanted you to use the RISE model and all that stuff for feedback, this is what we're looking for as well. The replies are due on Sunday. The actual initial post has to be done by Friday. That's the one where we are looking for the early bird. In the next 25 years, we'll finally see the Kingdom Hearts 3. No, I think we'll probably see Half-Life 3. Maybe. Christian, you can do some research on that. There's one that's you can go to like glassdoor.com, and you can probably see some of the businesses that are out there. So I would definitely go through and search, and you can probably find a lot of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to show you some examples of posts that are done. I'm going to show you 2 good ones and 1 minimalistic one for the initial post, so you guys can get an idea of what we're actually looking for on this. All right. So here is the first example. As you see, there's 5 different paragraphs in here where they talk specifically about where they think their industry is currently. Then within the 5 years, then they do the 10 years, then they go into the 25, and then they just explain their plan itself. And at the bottom, they just cite the sources itself. So this is considered pretty much an extremely good initial post. Michael, I actually grade them. I start grading everything the day after the assignment starts closing. So I usually tend to get things finished either Tuesday or Wednesday. And no, you do not need to add pictures for this one if you do not work. If you do not, Michael. I finished grading all of the website ones from week 1 currently in my class. I'm all done. So if your instructor has not finished that yet, we usually give until about Thursday to have all the grades from the previous week in. So if by Thursday you do not see any grades populated in your in FSO for you, Andrew, I would just reach out to your instructor and just say, hey, I'm just curious as to where the grading stands for. But for me, in those who are in my class, I'm already done. No, Christina, you can either post it in the discussion board or you can convert it to PDF and then post it in the discussion board, but you do not need to do both. All right, so this is one example here. And as you see, there's some good solid paragraphs in here. This is pretty much what we're looking for. Then here's another good example where, as you see, they're talking about, they went a little bit into history, but they pretty much talked about where everything is currently. And then they did the 5, 10 years, 25 years, pretty much talking about where everything is going within the 5, 10, and 15 years and what steps they're going to take for this. Yes, Curtis. If you want to do it in Word first and then just copy and paste it into the discussion board, that is perfect, because again, then that way you can actually get the punctuation and spelling correct and stuff like that, because we do tend to look at that a little bit. And then, of course, this person cited those 2 sources at the bottom of the actual post. So again, this one is another good one that is actually a good grade. Now, the ones that we kind of say no to, which is this one right here, as you see, it's 1 paragraph and it's very, very condensed. And there's not a lot of really good relevant information, and it needed to be expanded upon. Though they did give 1 reference, we needed at least 2. So again, we really want you to go in and write 5 paragraphs. Each paragraph should be detailed enough to really grab it. So again, if you want to be able to hit all the marks, definitely go for one of these. All right. Again, this assignment isn't hard. It's just primarily making sure you get all of the information, and we're checking to see if you actually did research on this. Yeah, anything's better than a 0, but again, if you really want to truly hit the good marks, definitely don't submit something like this. Okay? Go for more like this. All right? And then again, once you have this post done, this initial post has to be done by Friday. All right? So it can meet the early bird special on this. But then make sure that you go back and respond to at least 4 of your fellow peers' posts themselves. Make sure that they pretty much use the RISE model in there, so you get some good feedback for them and everything based on their post. The 4 response posts have to be done by Sunday. Now, if you don't do any response posts, you lose 20% of the grade, so be aware of that. Cecil, you only need 2. All right, so does anybody have any questions on this assignment itself? Matthew, there is no early completion for the replies themselves. If you end up getting everything done by Friday, that just means that you have the weekend to be able to, kick back, relax, play Destiny or what have you. Go and watch the BlizzCon, whatnot. It's a really cool thing to do. Just try to get everything done as early as possible. Yes, Natalie, you're doing research on your industry itself. Yeah, Stranger Things 2. I'm about halfway through that, William. It's so good. Yes, KOTOR, yes. Or Michael, yes, you can start on next week's work. All right. Any other questions about the 2.1 assignment? Yes, Savannah. You can pretty much write anybody that kind of inspired you to go in your degree program if you want. It's ultimately just saying who inspired you to be able to, want to pursue the career that you wanted to do. If it isn't an actual person, it may be, it could be just about anything. But as long as we kind of see what inspired you to actually go and be, pursue the degree program that you're in. All right, so moving on. And again, make sure that you take a look at the rubrics and double check, because again, you definitely want to make sure that you are hitting the exceptional column. And as you see, it says 5 or more paragraphs, minimum 5 sentences each, sources cited, all questions thoroughly answered in the instructions. And then here, reply to classmates, minimum of 4 replies, at least 5 sentences each. And obviously here it's saying the initial post is submitted by Friday for the exceptional. So again, just make sure that you look at the rubrics. So, industry terms now. How many have already started this assignment? I know some people are actually sweating about this one, but it's really not that hard. Ultimately, in the directions themselves, there is a huge list of terms that you can choose from. So if you end up scrolling through the instructions when you download it, you will see things like this where it's like computer animation and then it has a whole bunch of list of terms. You just go, depending on your degree program that is listed in the instructions, you just go and choose 7 of those specifically, okay? And then you choose another degree program that has nothing to do with your degree program and choose 7 from there. Have a good evening, Meredith. All right. So what you're going to end up having total is 14 terms that you have to pretty much define in your own words. Yes, Cody, you can do game art and game design if you want. Yes, 14 terms total. 7 from your degree program and 7 from another degree program. All right. Now, what we want you to do when you choose your terms is to first go out and research those terms and look at the definitions that are given for them. I know, Cameron, doing them all would not benefit you. It would benefit you in a educational purpose, but it wouldn't, increase the grade or anything. But if you just want to do it on the side for your own personal edification, by all means. I definitely would say go for it. But if you do all the terms and turn them in, we're just going to be looking at 7 and probably say, hey, excellent job, you did all the terms. Here's your 100 as long as you hit all the marks. But as you see here in the instructions, it says choose 7 terms from the degree program, and you're explaining it in your own words what the meaning for each term is. Now, what we mean by that is you go out first, find the definitions for these terms, and then give the definition as to, in your own words. Okay? So you research what the terms mean, and then give the definition in your own words. It should be in the PDF. So at the back here, you will see there's computer animation, game arts, game design, graphics design, mobile development, web design and development. But here are all the terms. And this is the instructions. You don't see that there? If you don't see that there, Cecil, just ask your instructor and we'll get that taken care of for you so you can actually get those. Andrew, no, you definitely have to put the definition in your own words down, but it has to be based upon the actual definition itself. So that's what we're really looking for. Yes, if you end up having the definition in your own words and then you have it off to the side where it's just saying, here's the real definition, that's perfectly fine. But we just want to make sure that you do have a definition in your own words, but it is similar to the true definition. Because if you just kind of made it up as to what you think it is, that is going in the wrong direction. So let's see. Just making sure I get all the questions here. Yes, Christina, you're only researching the terms on the list itself. Yes, Bailey, what we're doing is we're making sure that you comprehend at least some of the terms that are in your industry and from another industry. We really want you to just see how those terms are actually used and what their definition is all about. Tyler, I will be showing you pretty much examples on how you can actually spruce this up to really make it look pretty good. But it's okay. No, not a problem. Ultimately, Allison, it has to be in a PDF format. But as far as what you want to use it for initially, you can do it in a Word document. You can use it in a PowerPoint, what have you, to be able to bring this out. But the ultimate thing here is making sure that you choose 7 terms in your own degree program and 7 terms from another degree program for a total of 14 terms all combined. All right? William, because sometimes what ends up happening is if you end up getting close to, say you're out in a game studio itself, you're going to be working with game designers, game art, computer animation, game development people, and all of that. So when they start talking about these different terms, you will at least have an idea of what they're actually talking about. That is one of the reasons why we have you guys doing things outside, choosing 7 terms from another degree program so you can kind of get an idea of how they utilize those terms. Right? Oh, this assignment is fairly easy. It's just, making sure that you go and take a look at everything. Now, once you have Stephanie, not a problem, but there's a little bit more to this, so please make sure that you listen to the rest of the live session. There is a bit more to this. Christian, you can do it in a bullet point, but ultimately, again, you have to do some creativity in here. But we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves on this. So once you have the definitions in your own words for all 14 terms, then you're going to do a quote for each term, as to how it is being used in the industry. So this is where you're going to go and make sure that you look up the different resources out there and kind of see and pretty much clip a quote as to how they actually use that term. And what I mean by that is, so say for instance, here's an example of a person that did the game design. All right. So what he did was he defined the game engine term in his own words here. And then what he did was in a blog he found, the author wrote, and then he's like, he quoted the actual sentence that the term was actually used in. This is what we're looking for in that specific area. So for each term, we're looking for the definition in your own words and a quotation as to how that term is being used by a different types of source, okay? Same thing with animation. You see, they define the term in their own words and then they put a quote as to how that term is being used. Then they do frame rate. Then as you see, there's the quote again. Yes, this is the type of thing where if you end up doing something like this, where it really pops out, this is pretty much showcasing some really good creativity and good design. This is the stuff that really, you know, is pretty much like 100% work. Because they took the time to just go in, spruce it up, make sure that images were with the terms and stuff like that. You know, gave it a good background instead of it just being a plain white background. But as you can see the pattern here, every time he defined the term in his own words, then he went and found an article that actually used the term, and then he quoted that. Yes, Matthew, you do need a works cited for this one. Not for the images, just for where you get the quotations from. All right, and then as you see, he just continues down, doing texture, source code, geometry, and then he did his citations page here. But there's 1, 2. Though, see, in this one, while it does look pretty, he only ended up doing 7 terms. So as you see, there's 1 term, 2 terms, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You need to have 12. And yes, Savannah, you can use PowerPoint for this assignment just as long as you convert it to a PDF. APA formatting is going to be appropriate for this. 14, Bailey. 14 is the minimum. Matt, you're going to do 7 for your degree program and 7 for a different program. And no, it's 14. There's 14 terms total. Your instructor for like high school? I did say 12 on accident. No, you have to have 14. 7 from your degree program and 7 from the from another degree program. Matt, however you want to design this on the slides, it is perfectly fine. Some actually separate it. Others just list it down, and then they do the other terms from another degree program afterwards. No, Cecil, not 14 paragraph. You have to do 14 terms total, 7 from your degree program and 7 from another. No, Brittany. 7 other ones have to be from a completely different degree program, but 7 the first 7 should be from your degree program. All right, so another example. Let's pull up another example here. Where's PDF in this one? Where's that? Yep, here's another one. Too fast. All right, so again, in this one, as you see, he defined the term in his own words, and then he gave the specific usage of how that term was being used in the degree program. Yes, Drew, as long as you, you know, as long as it's looking like it's coming from the different degree programs, and you make sure that you list it as different degree programs, you can do computer animation and game art. Because, so as you see, this guy actually listed the term here, and then he did another term here and did another term here. So, so this one was resolution. He did the definition in his own words up here, and then gave the actual normal definition for it, and then he gave the paragraph right here. So as you see, he just broke it down all the way through. And see, he also labeled it here where it's saying graphics design now. Then he went into mobile development. So, oh, sick, Minecraft. So this is ultimately how your specific 2.2 assignment should be looking like. Again, you're going to define the term in your own words after you do the research, and then you go through and find an article that actually uses that term in its own words. And then you just quote that. And then, of course, at the end, you just cite all the stuff at the end. Or you can also put it inside if you want. So either or is perfectly fine. Yes, it has to use that specific term. The quote has to have that term specifically in there. So for instance, like he's talking about animation. He chose animation as one of the stuff. You see right here, it's saying the first all animated film in history, a series of scenes, and this is the definition for that. But then he rolls into where it's saying a dynamic visual medium produced by static drawings models. So he's showing the clip specifically where that term is being used. Yeah, there was a Minecraft thing in here. No, Allison, you do not have to cite images. You do have to cite where you get the quote from the term is, and if you find a site where you have the definition that you pretty much are using in your own words, you cite both of those. And again, once you are done with this, you should have 14 terms total done. And again, here's some other examples where they went and were very creative. But if we end up seeing stuff like this on this side where it's just a blank, you know, plain white document with just the the term in your own words, it's really going to start deducting points from the overall grade on that. So you definitely want to make sure that you get into this type of realm here. I know. And again, just think of it this way, guys. You are in a creative school. So try and show your creativity on this. You don't have to draw or anything, but kind of think like a designer and start figuring out where things should go and what would make it look visually appealing to other people, because this is how you're going to be doing everything throughout your whole entire career here in school. So I would start doing this at this point and really start knocking it out. But yeah, make it look pretty. Because we like pretty things. Yeah, definitely, Savannah. Definitely explore. Do what you can. Citations. It means making sure that you cite the work that you are using inside of your document. So in other words, once you do that quote, you have to make sure that you cite that quote. Which means just give me the name of the article, the author, the date of the article, the title, and then the link to where you got it from. Christina, we don't give any feedback over the go-to training for week 1 stuff. I can only say for my class, a lot of just about everybody did very well in my specific section as far as week 1 stuff. But your instructor should be giving you feedback as to how well you did on your assignments for week 1. But yeah, you can split pages. You can do whatever you want. It's ultimately just try to be creative. But again, ultimately make sure that you are hitting all the specific points on these assignments first, and then go in and start sprucing everything up. So again, as you look through the instructions, you should see the terms. If not, definitely ask your instructor. But then at the bottom, you will see the rubric as well. And again, if you really want to make sure that you're hitting everything, go and take a look at this specific area under exceptional and make sure that you are hitting all the marks on this. All right. But ultimately, the reason why we have this assignment, yeah, 60 points out of the whole entire grade. Yes, total is 14 terms. You can do more if you want, but the minimum is 14 terms, 7 from your degree program and 7 from another. Any questions on this one? Again, this is really not a hard thing. It's just as long as you make sure that you go out and do the research, you're good to go. It is a little time consuming, Curtis, yes, but again, we want to make sure that you do understand some of the terminology that is out in your industry, as well as the terminology that others actually use in other degree programs, because you will be pretty much networking and communicating with these other individuals in your degree field. So it's good to at least kind of understand what their terms are and how they are expressing themselves in their industry as well. But again, this whole entire week is more along the lines of just researching your specific degree field and looking at other degree fields and kind of figuring out where you want to go to the future and getting an idea of how terms are used overall between both of the assignments. But for the 2.2, Not that hard. Just again, just make sure that you choose 7 for your degree program, 7 from another. Spruce it up, make it look good. Define the terms in your own words. Find an article that uses each term, and then quote a specific piece of that article that has the term in it. Paste it into your document file underneath the appropriate term. Then spruce it up with images, cover sheets, things like that, and then you can turn that in. Yes, Miles, that is perfectly fine. All right. Any other questions about the 2.2 assignment? Everybody feel confident? Again, not very hard. Matthew, no, it is not necessary, but if you do want to cite the images, you can. You got yours after the first class? Wow. Usually it does. It usually takes them 4 months to get the actual launch box. All right. So we went over the 2.1 assignment and the 2.2 assignment for this week. So again, just a quick little recap. Make sure that the initial post is done by Friday, and then the 4 response posts done by Sunday, and then the 7 terms and the 7 other terms from another degree program, that assignment itself done by Friday for the early bird, but it is the ultimate deadline for that is due on Sunday. I think they're actually shipping out iPads now for those who don't have actual computers and stuff like that. So they are doing that so people can actually be able to get their homework done. Yeah, it's a pretty neat idea. What size is the Mac? 15 inches wide by, I think, like 10 inches deep. And it's all metal, so you can like whack people with it and it doesn't break. It's the MacBook Pro 15-inch Retina display. Yeah, you guys, some of you will actually be getting some really cool equipment as you go further into your degree program. Don't worry, Cody. The Mac works pretty much similar as a PC. And yes, Michael, it is the newest version of the Mac. Yes, Tyler, you are definitely correct. Towards the end of the week 1 lecture, I did kind of correct myself after I realized that I did a slip up like that. Actually, William, very well, from what I've seen. Don't worry about it, Tyler. I mean, again, as long as you did the information and, explored those articles, you'll be fine. It really depends. I mean, Macs are good for some things. PCs are good for others. I tend to use both. I prefer PC a little bit more. However, I do end up making sure that I keep on tabs with my with the Mac version stuff. I don't know if it's going to be Touch ID or not, Gus. That would probably be something FSO support would be able to tell you. The Mac, I think, is around like $2,500, and then the software is who knows. Yeah, pretty expensive laptop. All right, so any other questions as to the 2 assignments for this week? And yes, Diablo 2, yes, good times. All right, if there's no other questions, I will wish everybody a wonderful evening and a happy Halloween. Don't get too sick on candy and stuff like that, because I know I'm going to try not to. And I will see you all next week on the flip side, the same bat time and the same bat channel. Have a good one, everyone.